So I'll look at all of these things. I'll turn sideways. I'll say you've got Westchester driving head. You've got, you may have a flat back. You may be what's called kyphotic lordotic, which is you're extremely curved on the top and then you're extremely curved on the bottom. So basically, if you think about what our spine is supposed to look like, if you think of the letter S, okay, we've got the letter S. If you took both ends of the S and you simply pulled, that's basically what your spine looks like, okay? It's an elongated S. If you're kyphotic lordotic, we've squashed it, okay? So imagine trying to stand like that, where you're really got these big curves. You can have military posture, which a lot of men come in, and that's where you're sticking your chest out, but you're actually really compressing your low back muscles. You can be sway back. I mean, there's all, which is kind of like the model walk, where your hips are 10 feet in front of your chest. So everyone's going to have all these different postures. The way your feet, I'm a huge thing on feet, huge on feet. It is amazing to me how many people walk around with their feet like all knotted up like this. No tension anywhere else in their body, and their feet are like these little claws. So that's the first thing I'm like, relax your toes. And all of a sudden they're like, ooh, I feel my hamstrings, I feel my glutes. And I'm like, yeah, because your feet aren't holding on for dear life anymore. So I assess all of this stuff, and then based on that, I sit there and I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to start with you. And it literally can be as basic as relearning how to breathe. A lot of people have no idea how to breathe correctly, and so that kind of goes with the whole postural imbalance and everything else. So we start with learning how to breathe, and then from there move into understanding how to engage the abdominals the right way, where the pelvis should be, where your ribs should be, where your shoulders should be, how do I lift my neck off, all of that kind of stuff. And I really specifically develop a program with you, for you. I utilize all of the different pieces of equipment,
right.
Which I don't think we didn't talk about the equipment.
There's a lot.
And I work then in conjunction with you, and if you're, again, going through physical therapy or have had physical therapy, I can work in conjunction with your physical therapist to get you back on track and having, a normal gait and normal posture again. But it's very hands-on, it's very specific. It's not sitting there and saying, do this and just kind of generally doing some exercises. I get in there, and you can attest to this. I'm like, no, stop. I want you to fire that muscle right there. Stop. Come back. Do it again. Now try and push with that muscle. Do you feel it? No. Do it again. That's how I am. It's very specific.
I know.
But you also note that it really works. And it
does.
works.
I can attest that I walk out of there feeling
cursing me first, but
a little sore. But actually, it's been great because it really does make you hold. I've had patients say that doing Pilates has lengthened their height, has increased their height because and it really hasn't. What it is, it's that they're actually have perfect posture now, whereas before they might have been 2 or 3 inches shorter because of the way that they're just holding themselves. And then it totally changes. And you would think that it's one of those things where, you're using these machines and it's not a hard workout. I'm here to attest that I sweat.
Right, and but here's the thing that's really kind of interesting is a lot of people are like, they say, well, I need to get in shape before I come and do Pilates. That is the biggest fallacy. That is absolutely the biggest fallacy. If you go to a gym, most of the gyms are trying to impress, and there seems to be this attitude that, we're going to give the hardest possible class because that's what's going to make you really sweat. So the gym classes tend to be these incredibly advanced classes that I personally probably would never teach to any of my clients, or maybe a very small handful. I teach at such a basic level. So if you're thinking that you want to try Pilates, but you're just not sure if you're up to it, you have the strength yet or anything else, that's more the reason for you to come and do Pilates, because I get you to the point to be able to do that. And it's great because it's a building it's like building blocks. I give you the tools, and then we build on that with each lesson. Okay, I taught you this. Now I'm going to teach you that. Now we're going to put this with that. Now we're going to practice that for a while, and maybe 6 weeks later, oh, now I have it. Good. So now we're going to add this on top of that. And it's really like thinking about the alphabet. So I'm teaching you letters. And then once you understand the letters, then we start to make a word, and then we make a sentence, and then we can actually start to put everything together so it makes sense. And again, that's just a completely different concept to, I just want to go sweat at the gym.
Right. And I can attest that also working with the different pieces of equipment, you're able to discover things such as when
you had no strength in your leg.
I had no strength, where I'm on this machine and she's telling me to push, and I'm trying, and I'm not able to move it at all. And we discovered that I had a very localized deficit, which then started the whole knee thing.
Yes, yes.
But actually, I would never have discovered that, but that was probably
you may have, but in a much more disadvantageous way, by
Right.
falling down the stairs or something like that. So yeah, that's one of the things that I do. So to talk about the equipment. After Joseph Pilates came to New York and he founded his studio, he created a couple of other pieces of equipment. He modified the traction bed. We now call it the trapeze table, or we affectionately refer to it as the Cadillac. So if you are looking on any kind of a Pilates website and it says, oh, we have the Cadillac, it's the big old-fashioned hospital traction bed that everybody loves. He also developed what's called the Reformer. So the Reformer it's like a twin bed, but only half of it. And it's on roller skate wheels,
Right.
on 2 metal side beams, and it rolls back and forth. And everything still uses the spring tension, because that's what they started with. So it's using spring tension to move the carriage back and forth. And we also have ropes and pulleys and all kinds of stuff. So you can do exercises on the Reformer lying down, sitting up, kneeling, or standing. So we can work you in almost all planes of motion there, which is really important. You can really compensate for one issue in one plane of motion. And if you get into another plane of motion, all of a sudden it's like, what the heck happened to your leg? Why can't you push?
Why aren't you moving?
He also developed a piece of equipment called the stability chair. He was a part-time kind of amateur furniture designer as well. So he developed the stability chair, which is like a Reformer, but in this shape, if you can imagine. It's a fold-out twin bed. And you can do a lot of exercises on that are very challenging. And then he has a series of barrels that we also can lie on. And those are great for doing back extensions or side bends, just all kinds of stuff.
I can attest that Pilates is great for anyone who is in shape, who wants to get definition and tone and be more fluid. It's great for people who are not in shape, who really need to address injuries, back problems, shoulder problems, and also want to build muscle strength. And there's no age limitations. That's the beauty of it also.
Absolutely.
You can be 80 and you still need to be fluid. You still need to get those joints moving. And it's a very painless way of doing that, because the machines help you along.
Right, exactly. I've actually worked with clients, probably some of my youngest clients have been teenagers, and I have worked with a couple of young boys who had hip problems because they were playing sports so much.
All right, well, this has been so good. I need to get out there going, but thank you, Marilyn. And this is Pilates on Hudson. It's Marilyn Miller.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
She saved my leg, she saved my knee, her and Marianne. So thank you for joining us. And my guest again was Marilyn Miller, and that's Pilates on Hudson.
Thank you. Very